What's going on, gamers? Today I'll be going over everything we need to know about the upcoming game Evil West. So if you'd like to know more about this third person action game with a western twist, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back everyone. Today we'll be jumping into everything we need to know about the soon to be released game Evil West. Now this game is brought to you by the studio Flying Wild Hog and is set to release on the 22nd November on most major platforms, including PC, PlayStation and Xbox. Now since my last video on the game, there's been a developer's Q&A that's answered a few questions that we previously weren't sure about. So if you're undecided on whether or not this is the game for you, then hopefully this video can help you out. First and foremost, this game is a third-person action game with you taking up the role of Jesse Rentier, a vampire hunter out to right some wrongs and take on some of the biggest, baddest enemies around. Now mixing a variety of close-range melee combat and long-range shooty goodness, the game is hectic fun during its encounters and reminds me of a kind of mixture between Red Dead Redemption and Devil May Cry. The action looks to be quite relentless in some encounters and some of the bosses and enemies look truly awesome. Jumping into a bit of the technical aspect, and the game comes with a performance mode which allows for 1080p 60 frames per second, or quality mode which in turn is 4K at 30 frames per second. I believe this is in regards to the console, with the PC pretty much adapting to how good your system and graphics card is. Also they stated that currently it doesn't have cross-platform play, so if you do want to play with a friend, make sure you're getting it on the same platform. Now like I said, the game sees you playing your way through the campaign in solo or co-op play, and has you getting progressively stronger as you make your way further through the game, as it allows you to unlock perks and upgrades for your ever increasing arsenal as you level up and proceed through the campaign. You're going to have a wide array of weapons to choose from and unlock in the game, ranging from the somewhat easy to use mid-range revolver that allows for some Wild West gun-toting fun, all the way to a flamethrower that you can also use to burn things such as bushes in order to unlock secret hidden areas, or find yourself some tasty treasure. Switching it up from the long-range weapons, you can also get a few melee weapons, with one of the most powerful being the Rentier Gauntlet. An absolute electrifying powerhouse of a fist weapon that can shock your foes, stun them, beat them to smithereens and much more as you start to upgrade it and become more powerful. Now a few things you'll definitely want to know about will be the content of the game, how long it is and how exactly the co-op works. Luckily now that we've got a little bit more information about the game because it's close to its release, we'll be able to fill you in. So first off, there are 4 different difficulty settings in the game: story, normal, hard and evil, with the last apparently being very challenging. They've also stated that the game itself is somewhere in the region of between 10 to 15 hours to complete, but they did say it could be longer if you're looking for all of the collectibles and gearing up. Also, one thing to note, there are no side missions or optional missions in the game and no extra modes like a horde mode, but there are a few optional areas in the missions for those that want to explore or find everything in the map. As within each mission you'll have lore collectibles, hidden chests and money bags you'll probably want to try and find in order to upgrade your arsenal. You'll also have the option, as you can see here, in order to replay missions in case you accidentally missed anything and want to come back to them later on. Now the story, like I said, is very narrative driven and is linear rather than open world, with you completing each stage before moving on to the next. And whilst the game itself is a single player game primarily, you also have the implemented feature of a drop-in, drop-out co-op mode, allowing for you and a friend to tackle the vampire threat together if you want to. Now there are a few very important things to note with the co-op play. They have stated that you can go through the entire campaign together with a friend, but be aware only the host actually progresses through the actual campaign. The person who's jumping in as the second player will need to go back into his own game in order to proceed it further. Also, there is only one playable character, so even if you have someone join your game, you will both be playing the role of Jesse Rentier. Although this may seem a bit underwhelming, they wanted to keep the co-op as simple and seamless as possible for that drop-in co-op fun. And you can of course run different builds or use different weaponry, as well as there being unlockable skins in the game if you wanted to look slightly different when you did join someone's game. Lastly, with the multiplayer, although you don't get to further your own campaign, one thing that they did say is that you can collect coins, level up and upgrade your character whilst you are playing multiplayer with the other person. However, they went on to state that this was during that actual session and didn't elaborate on this. So to me it sounded like you'd be gearing up exactly the same rate as the person who's hosting, but they didn't mention it saving onto your character if you went back into your session. So as far as I'm aware, I think it's only for that session until you go back into your own, and then you'll be starting your progress anew. Now, one of my favourite aspects I enjoy in games is being able to upgrade my characters and their weaponry in order to create an absolute monster of a character that can just smash your enemies to pieces, and this game definitely seems to have that, as you upgrade your weapons and unlock perks as you go, in order to find your favourite playstyle and tackle enemies better. Whether it being able to shoot lightning from your weapons from a distance, using your precision shots in order to regain health and do high precision damage, or just going completely melee crazy and pummeling your enemies with a flurry of punches until the enemy explodes. Evil West definitely has you covered. Now finally, in regards to Endgame, as far as I can tell, there's no added extra content at Endgame. However, there is always the option to play New Game Plus, upping the difficulty and allowing for you to upgrade your character even more so. In fact, they stated that you wouldn't actually be able to fully upgrade everything in one playthrough. However, they did say that you could do New Game Plus and in fact do it a few times over if you wanted to, in order to find more money and upgrade your character fully. Right, hopefully that's helped a few of you out. Let me know what you all think of the game in the comments. Do you think this Vampire Hunter Western will hit the mark, or do you think it will kind of suck, with pun intended? As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, take care. I'll see you on the next day.